Today I have the RekonFPV Rekon3 micro long-range quadcopter platform. Now, this is a quad that's powered by a one-cell 18650 battery. So this is a really unique design. The recommended battery is a Sony battery VTC6 3000 milliamp hour battery. This is so cool. You get that satisfying click and the battery snaps in and it's ready to go. The Rekon3 is crazy lightweight at just 66.28 grams, and with an 18650 battery, 3000 milliamp hours, we're at 113 grams. So we're talking a really lightweight platform here. What can you actually do with this? What can you do with this platform? So I'm going to speak to you from my experience, and keep in mind, I got this for free. This was sent to me to review. There's no GPS on this quadcopter, so if you take this out and something happens, maybe you get caught in a crosswind, or you lose video, or you fail safe for any reason, that may be the end of it. You may not recover it. And so that made me anxious about sending it out on a flight mission. But I finally did get over that, and I took it down the riverside here, just kind of stayed along the bank. I figured if I was going to drop, I would at least be able to hopefully find it by going for a long walk. And I was able to get close to a mile out before I felt like I needed to come back and start flying back, only because of the battery life. I was getting anywhere between 5 to 8 minutes of battery life depending on the conditions. And so this is where the whole Nano long-range platform is kind of an interesting category for it, because there's really only so far that you're going to be able to go out with this because of the battery life, and it has no GPS. So you also need to keep that in mind, that you may send this out and it's not going to come back. And I think that for a lot of people, that puts this model into a category that makes it more of a novelty than something for practical use. And I'm not trying to bash it by any means, but it's not a cheap quad. It's anywhere from 100 to 150 bucks, depending on where you get it. And what can you really actually do with it? Yeah, you could take it out, get some analog video, and bring it back. It's quiet. I like that. It's a very quiet quadcopter. You could also use it to scout an area. You could always have it on you, always keep it in your bag, and throw it up in the air. I do love that about it. But in terms of practical use, I really feel like without the GPS, I don't have that confidence to send it out and feel like I'm going to get it back. Maybe I've just gotten so used to flying the Flywheel Explorer, or I can just send this out, and if something happens and the video cuts or there's something wrong with my link, the GPS will always take me back home. Unfortunately, I just don't have that confidence with this platform. So for me personally, and possibly for you, this model may be just something that you have as a novelty. I mean, it is really cool to be able to take this and throw it in the air, do some proximity flying with it, and show somebody, ooh, look, this thing runs off of this little 18650. People love that. Every time I've shown this to somebody in the field, they go, oh, you got one of those. That's so cool. Let me check that out. You know, people think it's cool, and I like owning it. This is a fun quad to own. So I'm probably not going to sell. I'm going to keep it. But would I buy it? Would I buy it for myself to use, to have a practical use case for it? Probably not. The answer would be probably not. It has limited practical use because it doesn't have a GPS. The one cell battery and design is part of the magic of it, but that also means that there's really not much room to add even a lightweight camera like the Insta360 Go. You just really can't do it on this model. So what your options are to use this for long range is limited. Let's talk a few more words about construction of this quadcopter here, and should you freestyle this? Should you do any freestyle with this? And the answer is no. No, 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 do not freestyle this quad. It not only doesn't really have the power to do the freestyle, what I would notice is during heavy throttle use, especially when the battery was at its lower point, this camera has a tendency to totally gray itself out, and then sometimes it won't even come back. So you definitely do not want to freestyle this. You want to be gentle on the throttle, especially as you take the battery down to its lower level. And I would even recommend being careful taking the battery down low, just flying it long range. As a general rule, I tried to come back around 3.2 volts, 3.3. And I know an 18650 can go much longer than that, but that was my experience with this model. I just didn't feel comfortable really running this battery all the way down because I was experiencing the grayed out camera as I would go below 3.0 volts, down to like 2.8. So I really couldn't use the 18650 to its fullest. Keep in mind the battery goes in like this. The positive side needs to be in this side, the negative side needs to be in the back. Pay attention to it. You don't want to blow this up. It will burn and just die if you don't pay attention. The other thing I would recommend is getting a strap. I would get a little strap, even though this battery is locked in really tight. In fact, it can be uncomfortably tight. Yeah, I can hardly get this thing out, and that's why you see these little scratches on the battery here, because I will use a tool like this to just gently pry the battery up. If you're out in the field and you got nothing else, or you forgot to bring your tool with you, you can actually use a prop. I've just used one of my 5-inch props to pry the battery up. But yeah, this battery can be a little tight, although I will still use a strap as well as a or a rubber band or something, just because I don't want an impact to jostle the battery loose, because that can happen. And I would also be concerned if you were to freestyle this or just, do anything too risky in general, because these arms are so thin. These arms are so very thin, so you don't want to do anything that would cause you to crash with them on, because probably not going to survive a crash. Alright, so that's it, guys. Let me know if you have any questions about the RekonFPV Rekon 3. I hope you found this review informative as well as balanced. I don't hate this little guy. In conclusion, I just feel that it's probably more of a novelty quad than it is a quad to have for practical purposes, although you can get some practical use out of it depending on what you choose to do with it. And maybe, just maybe, you want to own this cool little guy because, hey, it's an FPV quad that runs from an 18650 battery. That's really cool. I mean, it's really cool. So, with that being said, you guys have a great day, and I'm going to go do some flying. You guys take care.